It's been a while since my last little video, my last chest day video. I kind of want to take a different approach on something like this, in terms of obviously we're used to me lifting weights and me doing all that jazz, but I kind of want to talk a little bit kind of throughout this lift, just about things that I've been thinking about, and maybe things that you guys also relate to on a personal level, emotionally, even spiritually maybe, and maybe we could I guess help each other out in a sense. That's kind of what I'm hoping to do. I'm gonna lift, and I'm also gonna talk, so just I hope we could, I guess, figure something out from this. I already did my working warm-up set. I'm gonna throw the top set on there in a second, just so we can get that rolling. I guess one of the things I want to consider and think about, and just talk about, is finding yourself. That's something that I've been really deep into much recently. Social media is definitely something that I am forever grateful for, because it's given me a platform to inspire others and pursue something that I would have never thought been possible, in general. About 2 years ago when I was just doing my thing, right? It gets tricky sometimes because, you get so many eyes, and you hold yourself to so many higher expectations when these eyes appear, and it causes me to kind of guilt myself a lot, and it's not an interesting or good feeling. I'll do things incorrectly, and I'll do things out of schedule, or I'll be lazy for a day, or I'll sleep in, and it's just small things like that, and I know obviously you guys, this is what you guys don't see, but it's rough, man, because you have a vision of who you want to be and what you want to go towards, and you feel like you know what steps you need to take as well, and it's like taking those steps sometimes is just one of the most difficult things you've ever done ever. And learning to guide through that right now is something I've been really into, trying my best not to, of course, talk down on yourself. We are all individuals, and I know this is the most obvious thing ever, but we're all just people. And like I said, very open and blank statement there. But it's interesting because you imagine somebody at the highest level, like Chris Bumstead, or somebody who's I mean, people who have excelled in what they do, and you imagine some perfect version of them. Like David Goggins. You wake up at 5 in the morning, you do this and you do that, and you do and you're just like some crazy freak of an animal every single day. And I'm not saying they don't do that, because they're I'm sure they do 9 times out of 10, but I guess you realize after a while that these people are also just people who are doing their best. Like they don't want to any more than I don't want to, right? It's not, you could trick yourself into feeling this certain type of way of doing it, but I've realized that a lot of these people they also mess up, and they also fall off, and they also fall off diet and fall off their sleeping schedules and hit snooze and all this stuff. And it's just interesting to me because at its core, at our core, we're all very similar people. We just go about our actions very differently, and that could be due to environmental reasons, and different influential um, factors. But I guess what I want to say after yapping about all of this is that it's okay to be exhausted, and it's okay to have a burnout a little bit, because being a social media influencer is very nice, and bodybuilding is something I deeply want to get into, and hopefully perform at the higher levels one day. And and as I was saying earlier, I feel like I always have eyes on me. I feel like there's always someone watching, and I got to think about what I do before I do it. But in reality, it's as long as I'm consistent with what I'm doing, more or less, you're bound to go up and down with a lot of your progress. But if you can, it's okay to to fail. Um, I have a lot of aspirations in this sport and in myself, and I always had this fear. I'm not, and this isn't me boasting, saying I'll be something crazy one day. Obviously, I'd love to make it big, and I'd love to be at the top of the sport, and I'd love to be a part of a lot of good things. If I have to trade who I am and the things I believe to be successful in what I want to do, then I just won't do what I want to do. Because I personally believe that the values I hold as an individual and the things that I believe in carry more weight. A lot of what happens in this industry, or just any industry in general, is people make that break, and they create an internet facade, or some sort of like character online, or they don't really truly follow. They don't practice what they preach, right? And I guess one of my number one things is to just stay true to myself. If I ever, if I make it to that point, obviously. And I'm not saying I haven't made it really good so far. I think I've done a really good job from where I'm at and where I'm standing, and I'm incredibly grateful. But I also I just dream big. I want to be. I'd love to be an inspirational figure to people. It's just so cool, and I think in order to do that, I've got to be able to like really better myself overall, and that puts a lot of pressure on me mentally because I do a lot of things that are, as a flawed person, and as a person who sins as everyone else in the world. Obviously I'm not perfect, and when I do things that are bad, or I don't follow a strict routine and things like that, I feel like my dreams are out of reach because I get in my head about stuff where I'm like, dude, you have all these goals and ambitions, but you can't even do this. Or like, dude, like, you want to be at the top of the game, and you want to influence people. Not even influence. You just want to inspire others, and you can't even bother to wake up and do something, or you're just sitting around all day on your phone, and it's the critical bashing of my own self character that really drives me into like a really like deep mental spiral, and I don't think that's something that obviously I would like to stay in. And I got really quiet. I'm hoping it like louds back up so I can be a little bit louder. Um, and so what I've learned from what I've been researching and just reading and just like listening to podcasts and changing my perspective on things, it's just being more empathetic towards your own character. Right? The goal isn't to become perfect because obviously that's impossible. The goal is to become better each day. I guess if I were to give you any sort of advice, it'd be to change your perspective. Okay, so I left off talking about perspective. And I think this is just I think all the topics that I talk about are things that are very like, I mean, if you look at it and I say it out loud and I tell you this, which obviously I'm about to tell you in about 5 minutes, you'd be like, well, duh. Right? And that's how I am as well. Like, I'm just like, man, like, duh, like, what are you doing telling people this? But I think it's a good refresher, just in general, to be, take a second glance of something. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes simplicity is just the answer. The thing that you always knew was the right answer. You just weren't looking at it through the right lens, I guess. And that's exactly what perspective is. I guess to be a good example of a perspective change. The sort of analogy that I tend to use a lot is the idea of having like an empty glass. That's like half full. I mean, that's depending on how you look at the glass, you can consider it being half empty or half full. And just based on how you feel about that single cup is how you probably expect everything in life. And I've realized that the way you perceive things can alter your emotions and how you feel about it drastically. So, for example, one of the things that I think that people tend to perceive wrong is the work they're putting in towards a goal. And I get like this sometimes. It's so easy to be clouded by how other people are doing and the successes of their social media pages, or the amount of money they have, their income, or the house they have, the car they have. And it's so easy to be distracted and clouded by, what they could be doing and how you could be doing what they're doing, right? And within that clouded judgment, you also tend to overlook all the work that you've put in. So, and I speak from example, personal examples. Like I tend to, obviously I have fellow, I guess, influencers who are, my colleagues, I guess, interesting way to put it. And they have these video ideas and like this content that's just so much more personable than mine. And obviously I'm not a very talkative person. I have trouble trying to tell myself to pick the camera up and speak to the camera and just say something. I'm not very good at that. I'm always afraid I'm going to say something wrong, or my video is going to be stitched because I gave some sort of misinformation out. And I hold myself back. And with that, I also tend to, like, oh, like, so, like, I don't even deserve this. Like, so and so does so much better than me. Like, I'm terrible. It's just my perspective on myself and how I perceive things is just really bad, when I should be looking at it through a different lens. Like, I know I get so many DMs from so many different people telling me how much I've inspired them, and I also get, obviously, I've gotten successful, sponsorships and affiliations with companies and stuff like that. So it's like, um, I've made so much progress since my day one, right? So, and obviously I'm not perfect. I still have trouble trying to fully understand these feelings and fully understand that I am proud of myself and where I've come. Um, you're bound to backpedal. But I think the number one thing to really take from all of this, in general, from, I guess, the 2 points I've talked about, is the fact that growth isn't linear, and what you decide to do in general in life is going to have its ups and downs. Obviously, you're not bound to always succeed the way you want to, and things don't always go according to plan. But if you can just stay focused on your path and have your, I guess, the things in mind that you want to achieve, and then I promise you, if you don't ever stray from it, you'll be able to achieve it. Don't beat yourself up. Comparison is the thief of joy. And if you've accomplished literally anything in life that is as small as you think it might be, celebrate it. Be happy that you did it and be proud of where you've come. Because that's how you truly feel grateful for yourself. And that's how you continue to push yourself. So I guess that's life lesson number 2. And like I said, it's funny because I'm saying all these things because I need to hear them as well. Like, I'm preaching to myself as well as, like, kind of like talking to you guys about it, because I've learned that when I talk about my outward, it's crazy because you think, even knowing all this, I still have my mistakes and the things I mess up on. But I've learned that, like, really saying it and speaking it into existence out loud really enforces it more onto my brain and into myself. And it allows me to have a better understanding of it. So, I'm going to hit this set as hard as I can. I don't even know. We'll see how much I can do. Ah. Whew. Yeah, awesome. That felt great. Oh, man. Whew. I'm trying to think of what I want to talk about next. It's fun being philosophical like this, talking about stuff, but it is tricky because there are things I want to discuss that I'm just not thinking of right now. Whew. I guess the last thing I want to talk about, just, and like I said, my main goal. I mean, I want to start doing content like this, but my main goal is to just try to, like, I just want to be real with you guys. I know I, like, almost all, literally probably all of you, more or less, only like follow me because of my physique, and that's an amazing thing. Like I'm glad I can inspire you guys to look a certain way, but that's not entirely who I am, right? I want to be able to give my perspective on things, and maybe like spread some awareness to you guys about like maybe some struggles you're having that you think that you're alone in, or I guess some sort of endeavor you think that you need to accomplish under a certain like time. Like I want you guys to know that we're all trying. Every single person in the world, your parents, your best friends, every single person in the world has, I guess, and obviously it depends on the person. Some people kind of just gave up on themselves, and it's very unfortunate to see that. But majority, if not a good amount of people, have some sort of thing they're stressed out about. And as you get older, you get more responsibilities, and with those responsibilities comes more stress. And being able to stay disciplined with yourself, to stay on your, on top of your goals and your tasks, while going through all of these very troubling things, can be very difficult on the mind. And I want you to know that no person in the world is limited or excluded from that. Every single person in the world has that. Some people are just better at hiding it than others, you know. So with that, my thing is to keep working. Like, prepare, be prepared. Obviously, like I said earlier, be prepared to have, be prepared to backpedal and just backtrack a little bit. But idealistically, you want to just be trying to go up in general, almost on everything. And that's also a bodybuilding rule. If you're going up on weight, almost on everything, there's like almost a guarantee you're getting stronger. So, whew, what was I saying? I was trying to thought when I was starting to work out. Let me get my drink. Nah, man. Like if you're gonna do something in life, right? And if it's as big as like something like influencing, or being a role model to people, I think developing and understanding yourself is a very crucial key to that. You always want to strive. I'm not saying it's going to be a successful strive, but really push yourself to accepting that you have faults. Obviously, hold yourself to a high degree. Like you don't want to act like you're a failure, but you also don't want to make it seem like you're some sort of machine who can like, operate at like high speeds, man. Acknowledging your faults. Like, I mean, a lot of people are very emotional people and they lash out on others when they're stressed out. And, not a lot of people can take accountability for their actions. I think being able to take accountability and learning from your mistakes and really trying to encapsulate the kind of person you want to be each and every single day is like you're gonna reap the rewards later on and not now. Either way, let's just hit this up. Nope. Oh, that's too heavy. I'm reaching my limit right now on chest, so I'm about to migrate out of here. I guess what I was trying to say was just take accountability for your actions and do your best to not hold grudges. Hatred is a very terrible thing. Go to God. All glory to God. I truly believe that if you pray and you try to rid evil from your heart, it'll help you out in the long run. So I'm gonna hit this set. I'm not gonna record it because I want to go train hard in a minute. I can train hard on camera. I want to put the camera up, and yeah, I think I kind of talked about everything I want to talk about right now. So obviously I'm running out of ideas. So yeah.